So this is the N64 Tabletop system. I'm just trying to do this as one video, so if part of it doesn't quite make sense, then apologies for that. Anyway, I've made these into two halves, so it's quite easy to undertake repairs if required, and also so you don't have loads of wires trailing and also causing potential interference in the system. Quite like this type of design. It not only, I think, looks a lot nicer and more retro, but also of course provides a lot more airflow. So of course the system will be much more reliable than all being compressed into a small space as you always get with typical handheld systems. Anyway, this will run either off batteries as per my previous ones or off a transformer. Although the N64 system will run between a 7 volt and a 12 volt, I would really sort of suggest that if you've got a spare transformer, 2.5 amps is absolutely ideal. Or 3 of course, if that's what you have, lying around doing nothing, then you could connect it into this port, which I'll also provide. You don't need to solder if you don't have the ability to solder, just a couple of little screws, quite obvious, positive, negative, and that will then plug into the port here. Alternatively, you can power the system with these lithium batteries. As you see, the sort of type, these are just compatibles. You can get them with more amperage. I've had these for some time. They cost about £6 each on eBay, quite cheap, but I like these because the connectors stay in place a lot more reliably than ones that just slot in the usual ways, because those little circles in there that the pins stick into. This is a typical generic charger. Again, that costs about £2. Doesn't have to cost a lot, but I would suggest that you have 2 of these and 4 batteries, and as stated before, you need to provide these. I can't ship anything with batteries whatsoever, particularly internationally, but as stated, those are things that you'll need to purchase yourself. Also, the system wasn't specified as requiring expansion pack, which frankly makes good sense, because in this sort of system you're not going to get enhanced graphic capabilities with a built-in screen. You have only 2 games, Majora Mask and Donkey Kong 64, which require expansion pack. Also uses a bit more power in the process, and they're quite expensive, about £20–30 each. So I put in a standard jumper pack, which will deal with, frankly, all the other games that you'd be interested in playing. I've designed this so that there's plenty of airflow in here, as you can see. The shielding is from the original N64, at least most of it. Some of it was removed. There's a fan to keep the system a little bit cooler. When the fan is turned on for the first time, it hasn't been used for a while, will make a little bit of a whirring noise, but after about 20 seconds or so it goes quite reasonably quiet. Onto the main system, we have the pin headers here, which connect into these, which provide the power to the system, and also connections to the controller, and the ones at the back here, which are for the speakers, which go to the back of here. Easiest way to connect the two together, just pop this onto your knee. You can see where all the pins are. These then connect into that, and then turn it around and connect the speaker together. Did a reasonable amount of trimming on the controller board to make it all fit quite nicely. Again, it wasn't specified, but I have provided in any case a connector to the memory card if you decide to use one, entirely optional. If you do, I mean, my personal experience, I've had a number of these types of cards, so they do tend to fail, sometimes dead on arrival, but otherwise they can fail after a while, and not even necessarily the battery is running low. So what I've done is I've made the port so that you can just open up one of these, a standard little screwdriver. One side has a battery, one side doesn't in this, so it's battery upwards here, slotted into place, and so that if the card fails in the future, you can easily just change it for a different one. Other things of note in here, there's a couple of good quality speakers, actually from a Yamaha sound system. There's the low light LED indicator back here, and that's pretty much it really. I turn it around, you can see the controls, nice large joystick. It's from a SuperPad 64, as is the controller board. Obviously standard C buttons, A, B, start, on, off and D-pad. this is the right shoulder button. It's not used a great deal in games, so the accessibility here isn't quite in the same keeping as the other buttons. That's why I put it here, so you can get to it easily if you need to. And I've had a lot of handhelds don't actually even have a right shoulder button, which sort of proves the point. The Z button, which is used a fair bit, is this one here, and the left shoulder is around here. They've been positioned so that you can run it very well as a tabletop design, like this, or alternatively if you wanted to hold it on the side, again everything's been positioned so that you can do so and also operate these buttons very easily. This one you can just reach there with your finger at the top, so it is very accessible, but again that's why I've changed this one to being the Z, which of course you'd be using it a lot more. Underneath the base part of the unit are where the batteries will connect into, and they're designed so that you can just slot them in and pop them out, and in the process also provides good air intake on the system here. The system will run quite happily just off one battery, so once the battery indicator comes on to say it's low, which will illuminate here, it will give you plenty of time to pop one battery out, swap it with in the empty space, and then do the same with the other one, and you can continue with your playing. Again, with a standard handheld, you're stuck with just using a mains transformer at that stage, because your internal batteries will have drained and need to be charged. That's why it's academic in a system like this of how long the system will last, because the batteries are interchangeable. And of course, as they've got built-in protection circuits, it does give you that safety feature too. However, one option I decided not to do, and if you wanted I can easily include it, is I didn't put in a little switch here in order to allow it only to run off the transformer or the batteries. If you had the batteries into the system and you put this in here, then you would most likely damage the batteries and or the system itself. Mainly because these, of course, at maximum will run at 8 volts. So I could have put in a switch, but then the thing is, if you were running them off one way and not the other, and then decided to change it, then you'd wonder why the system wasn't working. It's just something else to think about. So if you want me to put in a switch, I will. Otherwise, I'll leave it as is. And just remember, please, if you run it off the mains, take your batteries out, and that's it. Just going to assemble the unit and screw it all down, and then show the system operating. Here you can see the wires are connected into the pin holders. They just push very easily into place. So continuing on this how-to tutorial, I've just put it together, screwed in the 6 screws, standard screwdriver, nothing fancy. Okay, so batteries, as we say, I've designed this compartment to allow you very easily to put the battery in, slide it across, do the same with the other side, drop it in, slide it across, and you're ready. When it comes to changing the batteries, I've made these recesses so that you can easily just slide it across, pop them out, and then obviously drop it in place, like so, slide it across again. Right, that's now installed the batteries. So, let's turn it on the side, doing things one-handedly. Put in the game cartridge. This is a Japanese game. The system is NTSC, which will play American and Japanese games. So before I turn it around, you can see, although you can see what the label is, it's quite discreet and it's pushed inside the system, and you can't see it from the front, which is ideal. Same as the volume control, which of course is back here. So, turn it on. The batteries admittedly are quite low on charge. It's a good opportunity just to show if this comes on. Anyway, this is the game. Volume control, as I said, you can change it if you want to. Gets very loud if you want to play it that way. As you hear, the speakers are pretty good. Speaker holes are here and here because it's stereo, and this is just for the airflow outwards. So not one of my favourite games, to be quite honest, but at least it works. I can demonstrate things working in any case, which of course is the important thing. Got your joystick, select, and this one you go forward with the A and then backwards with the B, and then obviously you've got your usual controls to do what you do. That's not a very good game. The idea of it is basically, I think, just to pick some guys up and go and break some boxes and things like that. But I don't have many NTSC games to play, so I had to use what I had basically. Here's a camera view, again showing these C buttons all work, as you can hear. As mentioned, this is the shoulders. I don't think they work in this game, and the Z button, which again doesn't seem to work in this particular game. The D-pad. So that's all showing the system running as well, all nice and responsive. And that is it. As you saw, this light came on initially. One battery is quite low in it, the other one isn't. But as indicated before, if the light comes on, you can easily turn the system around. So easily, not so easy one-handed. You can pop one of them out. The system will still be working, as you can see in here. Gives you plenty of opportunity to plug in a replacement. I can't do it one-handedly, but you got the idea from what we did before. Continuous play. So, thank you for watching.